How's it going? Okay, so in this one, we're going to talk about how to utilize every energy system in the human body. Now, you may or may not know that there's sort of more than one energy system, as this sort of comment, this sort of video suggests. But not everybody uses or not everybody trains the different energy systems or actually the crossover from energy systems. Quite often, if we hit a wall or we bonk or whatever you want to call it during a race, or we have like a sudden struggle with the kind of exercise that we're doing, it's because we're not very good at that transition from running from one energy source to the other. Now, you can actually train in a manner in which you can practice that crossover. It's called metabolic conditioning, and it's, if you follow the suggested sessions that I've got in the other section, then you'll experience it, and it feels kind of weird, but so basically, so what we're going to talk about, if we again just look at the terrain again that we're going to look at, and just keep this in mind as we go through the other part of this this little video. So what I've got here, if I can just cover up these that other little bit, I've just whipped these images off the internet. All right, apologies if copyright and all that kind of stuff, but this is a closed group, which is people that have bought the book and have got themselves into this resource bit. So these are free access off the internet. I'm not taking any credit for it or anything like that, but it does paint 1,000 pictures. Okay, does paint 1,000 words. So basically, the three sort of energy systems that we're talking about, there's the sort of what we call the phosphagen energy system, or the creatine phosphate energy system. This is this top one. Anaerobic, which you will be familiar with, and then an aerobic, which again you will probably heard of, and this is the kind of stuff that as runners we do lots and lots of aerobic exercise. Does that mean that you are not using or you shouldn't train these other ones? Definitely not. In fact, a common misconception is that we just use one energy system at a time. This is, if you go to the gym and you see the sort of fat burning zone and all this kind of stuff, this is where we've been misled. It's a crock of shit, actually. Actually, we're using every energy system all the time in all the different exercises or activities that we do. What changes is the percentage use of that energy system. So for example, if we're doing something long, slow, steady state, then the percentage of energy we're using is brought about from the aerobic system. But every now and again we'll have to skip up a curb or jump up a little ascent or power up a hill or something like that, and we will need either a bit of anaerobic or phosphagen, sort of creatine phosphate energy to in order to do that. So it's happening all the time. And similarly, if we're doing a mad sprint, 20 seconds, sprint as fast and as far as we can in that 20 seconds, predominantly we're burning creatine phosphate, okay, and we're doing anaerobic work, but there's also a bit of aerobic energy being produced. So the percentage changes, okay. It's not, you don't just sort of in one and all the rest are turned off. It's like, your main energy source is one and the other two are sort of turned down, okay. They're not exactly turned off completely. So let's have a look at that sort of the definition. So don't worry about this column so much, or this. Oh shit! Go back. Sorry. Hang on, where is it? Ding ding. There it is. But basically, consider this one here. So this is the primary system used for short, intense movements lasting 1 to 10 seconds. So think about like skipping up a curb, that little powerful step off your foot, jumping up a curb or up a small ascent, or powering up a hill. Or final sprint towards the end or something like that. And this happens on a, imagine this line here, or imagine where we've got like a long marathon here, and then we zoom right into one sort of 5-minute period. There'll be loads of these creatine phosphate periods where we're having to power off, very, very quick, short, intense movements, okay, like this snap of the finger. Okay, so lots of this going on, bang, 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 bang throughout your day. Similarly, there'll be lots of this as well. There'll be times when, whether you're aware or not, as part of a race, you will just take a bit of a breath, hold it, and power on a little bit, okay? And this is your anaerobic bit, and you won't even notice that you've held your breath and that you're working anaerobically, because it just sort of naturally happens. We're quite good at it. This is the predominant energy. Same again, the predominant. So this is like that suggests that there's other energy systems going on at the same time. The predominant energy system used for intense movements lasting 30 seconds to 2 minutes. Okay, so that final sprint, powering up that jebel, that big sand dune, sometimes even powering down, because although the effort in your muscles to power up is less, the impact and the control of those muscles is just as much. Okay, everyone, you sort of get that. When we talked about balance and agility and all that before, when you're coming down and you sort of leap off the sand dune a little bit, and then your foot careers down into the sand, it does take a bit of anaerobic work. And in fact, you're probably holding your breath a little bit as you darting down these sand dunes in order to control your descent, making sure it's not too fast, acting as a little bit of a brake, and that will require this kind of energy system. And then the aerobic stuff is just constant moving, whether it's swinging your arms, whether it's just striding out or whatever. Okay, but this is the predominant energy system for long duration workouts. So creatine phosphate, where does this come from? This comes from chemicals that are inside the muscles. And what basically happens is, through a process of whatever you want to call it, the molecules break apart, and they cause a little bit of explosion of an energy, and that's where we get the energy from. Okay. Next bit, this comes from the sugar that's in our blood glucose and liver glycogen. Okay, so it's the energy that's readily stored inside the body, of which you've probably got about an hour and a half to 2 hours worth. I'm not going to get into the old fat versus sugar thing here, but you've just got to sort of read into this a little bit. If you've got a system that will predominantly run on glycogen, and the activities are 30 seconds to 2 minutes. Is sugar going to be the best source of energy for you? That's for you to decide. And then finally, the aerobic stuff. This is a predominant energy system for long duration workouts. And not just workouts, but just activity. Remember, exercise is a new thing. Life just used to be harder. It's pretty easy now, so now we call it workouts and exercise and all that kind of stuff. But just going for a walk, going for a real steady state jog, a long swim, a long cycle, just moving, for a long time. And this can be days. It could be days for a real sort of conditioned person. It might be an hour or two for someone that's not conditioned. Okay, so let's look at where the energy comes from. Blood glucose, that's the sugar in the muscles and the liver, but also adipose and intramuscular fat. So this, adipose is it's just fat that's under the skin, and like you've got muscular tissue. And then like fatty tissue, we call it adipose fat. So, this is where the energy comes from. Now, we know that we can only store an hour and a half to 2 hours worth of sugar. But we can store days and days, and if not weeks, of adipose fat. Even the leanest person can have 60,000 calories of stored energy in their fat. For me, it makes sense that we use this as much as possible, but also, we don't forget the other energy systems as well. So what we've got down the bottom here is this graph of like the duration and intensity. So a short time, a long time over here. The intensity is high over here, and then low, and then obviously the percentage, the percentage that each energy source, each energy system is working. So you've got something really quick, sharp, bang. All right, it's the phosphagen, the ATP, the creatine phosphate system up here. Okay, you're going to need that. Like I said, ding, 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 ding. Little peaks throughout the day, little peaks throughout every leg. You're going to need that creatine phosphate. So you're going to need to keep topping up these little energy stores as you go along. Another one is this anaerobic thing. So as the energy requirement, or the duration and the intensity sort of goes up, it's more and more anaerobic. But then eventually, as we start to really lengthen out the exercise and lower the intensity, then it's really going to start dipping down. Okay, and at that point, then the percentage amount of aerobic energy, goes up and up and up and keeps on going. So that's that. Now, when we talked before about sort of being able to train and get each one of these working as best we can, it's a case of just being aware that you need to include some high intensity work, and you need to include some sort of anaerobic work. The aerobic stuff will be taken care of. You know, every day you move around, you're kind of working in this aerobic zone, and with a running background, even you know, with limited experience, you're going to have some aerobic capacity. So it's about being aware and just training this, like we've kind of said in the other little videos. And obviously the byproduct of training this is you do actually get an increase in your ability for this. If you just training this, you don't get these adaptations, and you know, I really can't stress that enough. It'll be so easy for you to just go out and train the things that you're comfortable with and stay within your comfort zone, but that's, you know, you're going to get taken out your comfort zone when you get to here. So that's the whole idea of these videos. Okay, so that's another little video done. Hope you're enjoying it. If you can give me some feedback, or you want more of your questions answered or whatever, then get yourself in the Facebook group. Till the next video, take care.